Low snap. Levis takes it off the bounce. Adjusts, throws deep, caught at the 5, spinning, Dotson, touchdown, unbelievable!
Jackson has not returned one for a touchdown this year. Waits. And it's a line drive kick. Jackson bobbles it and now has to try and recover. Deshaun Jackson gets a block! Are you kidding? Deshaun Jackson still not in, and now in for the touchdown, no flags. Unbelievable.
You saw in these two videos 2 talented athletes scoring touchdowns for the team. One is a collegiate athlete who receives no direct payment or salary, and the other is an NFL athlete who is paid millions of dollars throughout their career. Eli Manning, the quarterback for the New York Giants, has accumulated $250 million in contracts over the years, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. And he's not even the starter right now for the New York Giants. This is compared to the highest paid player in college football, who earns a whopping $0 per year if you don't count scholarships from the university that they play at. So this leads me to ask you, should NCAA Division I athletes be paid?
This isn't as easy as just a black or white issue, however. There are many different ways that this issue can be addressed. Some argue that the scholarships that student athletes receive are enough to compensate for their efforts on the field. Others argue that student athletes should not be directly paid for their efforts on the field, but should be compensated for endorsements just like professional athletes. Still others argue that student athletes should be given a salary just like professional athletes. Of course, this brings up a whole other set of complicated issues, such as if all players should be compensated equally, or if some players should be compensated more than others. If so, who? And also, should students of some sports be paid more than others? This also brings up issues of equality as well. The fact that there are many different sides to this issue has led to spirited debate on which is the proper solution.
In the 2016-2017 school year, NCAA revenue reached $1 billion. Many people have argued that the players who drive this revenue don't receive the true value that they bring to their schools.
There is nothing inherently wrong with a sporting tournament making huge amounts of money, but there is something slightly troubling about $1 billion sports enterprise where the athletes are not paid a penny.
The NCAA has argued that amateurism keeps it from becoming an anti-competitive trust. So, what is amateurism? In page 4 of the NCAA Division I handbook, under the heading The Principle of Amateurism, the NCAA declares, student athletes shall be amateurs in an intercollegiate sport, and their participation should be motivated primarily by education and by the physical, mental, and social benefits to be derived. To clarify that, Oliver Luck, the NCAA's former executive vice president of regulatory affairs, said in a speech in 2015, it would be a bad mistake to create campus employer-employee relationships with student athletes. Paying college athletes would distract in a very significant way from pursuing what they really need to pursue, an education. And we need to emphasize the value of that education. Former student athletes argue that the time commitment of playing a college sport, especially at the Division I level, impedes their ability to take advantage of their educational opportunity.
Show me how you're gonna get all your work done when after you get out at 7:30 or so, you got a test the next day, you're dead tired from practice, and you still have to study just as hard as everybody else every day and get all the same work done.
54% of athletes say they don't have enough time to study for tests. 80% of athletes say they have missed a class for competition during the academic year. And overall, athletes spend 50 hours a week on athletics. And while student athletes feel they have the resources at their disposal to succeed academically, they don't have the time to do so. The University of North Carolina even went as far as committing academic fraud for 18 years. Advisors enrolled students in paper classes, which were fake classes used to inflate student-athlete GPAs to keep them eligible to play. So in many cases, these student athletes are not receiving the education they're promised. The cost of that education is lower than the revenue most big school athletic departments bring in. And the idea of paying student athletes raises a lot of questions.
We have 36 sports, many of the sports you've just mentioned, that we would have to kind of concentrate to a small number in order to pay student athletes.
There'd be less incentive to go to class because they would essentially have a job already if they were earning like their true value to the schools.
SB Nation suggests the NCAA adopts the Olympic model of amateurism, in which the athletes are free to gain endorsement deals and sell autographs.
Allow kids like Zion to be able, if an agent wants to give him money while he's playing, so be it. If Beyonce or Taylor Swift was going to do a concert and they were students, they can make zillions. Make the kid make the money. If he can make an appearance, if he can do an endorsement, let him make those dollars. Coaches are making millions. People like me, and I know you guys are making zillions. Everybody's making money.
A student athlete can go work, in the bagel store for whatever dollars an hour. Like, that's fine. It's not about their labor. It's about being compensated in a way that is rational. It's about compensating them for who they are that the NCAA has a problem with. It's ridiculous.
My next guest says that paying students is wrong, and he's got some pretty credible credentials of his own. Cody McDavis played D1 basketball for the University of Northern Colorado, and he wrote this piece for the New York Times. Paying students to play would ruin college sports.
So I think that what gets lost in this whole issue is that we're talking about men's basketball and football. And moreover, we're talking about men's basketball and football at a select number of universities. The Clemsons, the UConns, the Alabamas, those are the universities that the senator is speaking of. But he even mentioned that UConn can't afford the facilities that Clemson can. And if UConn can't do it, then the smaller universities like myself, Northern Colorado, or other small schools, they can't either. And so the problem that arises is that paying men's basketball student athletes and football student athletes is a cost to any institution. And where are they going to get this money from? What happens is they end up cutting other sports to make this money arise. And you're going to pay your men's basketball and your football student athletes, and other student athletes are going to lose opportunities because of it. In the long run, I see that as a huge problem. These pressures that are created by the universities that have a lot of finances. Again, the Auburns, the Clemsons, the Alabamas, who can give these kind of incentives to their student athletes, it trickles down. And it causes pressures on other universities to do the same thing for their football and their men's basketball student athletes. And that causes great losses for other student athletes in other sports that this country does not give great attention to, but are giving their blood, sweat, and tears to those same sports. And I think that they deserve the respect and the opportunity to get an education at the university that they chose, and moreover, to play the sport at the university that they chose. We do not talk about them enough.
What you are seeing is a concept cover for NCAA Football 2020. Video games like this could be possible in the future, thanks to a statement put out by the NCAA that says that they intend to let students profit off of their likeness in the future. There are still many barriers to players being allowed to make money off of endorsements, but as you can see from this article, progress is being made in this direction, such as a recently signed California bill that would take effect in 2023 that would allow student athletes at California universities to hire agents to make money from endorsements, product promotions, and other similar ventures. The NCAA, however, called this bill unconstitutional.
So now that we've given you a lot of background behind this argument, I'm going to turn it over to you. What are your thoughts? Should D1 athletes be paid? It will most likely take many years until we see a definite answer to this question and an end to the long-lasting debate. Thank you.